That I can, not that I can speak.
There we go. Okay.
There we go.
All right. Whoops. Welcome to the show. Gonna start
Please
right
clap.
off. Yep.
Please
Start.
clap.
Yeah. Yep. Getting right into it. So as you're probably aware, things aren't going so swimmingly in Iran, to say the least.
Yeah.
Yeah, Middle East war
Well,
triggers new global refining boom. This is directly applicable to our stocks, but yeah, let's hear what Zach has
also,
to say about
Danny,
that.
it's yeah, it's interesting what's happened recently. Is that apparently Trump was just notified. Uh, and before I thought, no, it'd be impossible that he was just now notified of this because this is something like I've known for the longest time. Kind of weird to think that a wartime president wouldn't know this, right? I mean, I'm just, an old retired military guy, so why would I know all this? But like just how low we are on munitions. Uh, and it's alarming. Like we have these things called THAAD interceptor missiles,
Mhm.
which they were like the gold standard created in the Cold War for intercepting nuclear missiles or other ICBMs, essentially, right? And it's a terminal high altitude um, missile interceptors is what they are. And they're super expensive. I mean, super, super expensive. Like one missile is millions upon just zillions of dollars,
Mhm.
basically. And um, we only had, I believe, 32. And I think about half of the batteries, that is the total setup that they've had, have actually been destroyed now. Go
Whoops.
figure, right? Yeah, whoops. And on top of it, the ones that are remaining, um, out of all of the ones that we have on the planet, uh, we have about an 80% reduction in the
Mhm.
total THAAD missiles. So, for instance, say a war does happen to pop off with or say North Korea for whatever reason goes, now would be a good time to lob missiles at the United States. We don't really have.
Right, yeah, exactly. So wouldn't it be, if you did have such an alliance, let's say Russia got together with China and North Korea and said, you know what, enough of this shit. Now's the time.
Right.
There's really nothing we could do about it.
And there's still time for something like that to unfold. We got what, 2 more years of the Trump
Yep.
administrations? Who knows? But anyway, and we're already when it comes to the PAC threes and the PAC twos, that is the Patriot missile interceptors, those are essentially out as well, along with the the long range precision strike missiles that we have. Those again, we're talking upwards of like 80% reductions just across the board. In fact, if Trump wanted to continue this war, he could hypothetically, but that would involve loading up. We would have to do what the Russians did halfway through the Ukraine wars. We would have to take we call them gravity bombs, which are just regular bombs you drop out of an airplane.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like the carpet bombing type, and we would have to sort of retrofit them with little wings
Right.
in order to like steer them
Sure.
into the appropriate target. That's really the only feasible option Trump, but even then there's a huge risk because when you fly that close to Iran, they have their own,
Sure.
SAM sites and anti-aircraft weapons as well that have been showed highly effective. I mean, they've taken out basically all of the aircraft that we thought. I think we're down 37 aircraft in total. But like it, they were supposedly invisible and impossible to shoot down, the F-16s and everything. Nope. Iran successfully taken
Hmm.
out not all of the aircraft we have, but each type of aircraft that's supposed to be able to avoid stuff like that. So the problem is with what we have now, with the assets that we do have left, he could continue the war, but there are severe and dramatic limitations as to what can actually be done. And we can't sort of keep on attacking like with zero risk either.
Sure.
because of all those limitations. For instance, I wanted to bring up something important. I said from again, anybody who listens to this and listens to uh, old episodes of this podcast, I said when this is all said and done, the United States, for all intents and purposes, is probably going to just be pushed out of the
Hmm.
Middle East. And that's sort of the thesis by which we've been operating when it comes to investing. And not only has that been shown to be incredibly accurate, but like shockingly so in a
Hmm.
very quick amount of time. For instance, they've blown up essentially all of our bases in the Middle East, all of those
Right.
expensive bases, okay, and pushed the United States all the way back now to where they have to stage in Israel. They
Yeah.
not only have to stage in Israel, Danny, they have to stage at a civilian airport in Israel. They
Wow.
can't even, like, you see what I'm saying? Like, not even the military bases
Talk
necessarily.
about sleeping on the couch, huh?
Exactly, exactly. So weird, but apparently Trump just found out about these shortages,
Hmm.
right? And I guess is like super pissed at Hegseth for quote not telling him.
Well,
But
wait a minute. Let's take a step back here. It's like, first of all, I don't think that you have to be a military genius to understand. I don't know. Maybe Trump lives in such a bubble. It's kind of like those movies where they have, a machine gun or whatever. Just has infinite ammo. He never has to change a magazine. The pistol shoot 100 rounds. Is that what's going on in his head? You think?
yeah, honestly, I think it's worse than that. Because the reason why is because so much of what like Trump seems to be motivated by now, okay, Trump himself is a draft dodger, notoriously because he what had ankle spurs or some. He got one of his daddy's doctors to basically write him a
Hmm.
note that says he can't join the military,
Well, yeah,
and
poor baby.
yeah, poor baby. And so I don't even know if Trump knows how to shoot a firearm, much less
That's a good
reload
question.
magazines. And I don't think he knows any of that
Has any
stuff.
kind of working knowledge? Well, he clearly doesn't understand. Um, the SPR, right?
Right.
Because we
But
keep seeing, as we see here, the inventory is continuing to fall. It's almost like he considers them just a renewable resource that just grows.
just keeps right. And that is, I do, right. When you're saying like unlimited ammo, I think there's definitely something to that. Like, for instance, like most of what he seems to think warfare is honestly comes from like Hollywood stuff.
Yeah,
Like, I'm serious. Like when him and Hegseth had that meeting with all like the general staff and the flag officers and stuff like that, he literally like he had somebody recreate that scene from Patton where Patton gives that speech in front of the big American flag. Like exactly. So it's like he really like in his head, military, Top Gun, it's all Hollywood stuff, not real life military anything. And part of the problem with having a guy that basically, grew up rich and pampered by, his father who actually did the real legacy and the real work, right? And has bankrupted casinos and we were talking earlier, like here's the thing about casinos is it's like the house is supposed to always win.
right.
So for you to be so irresponsible that you bankrupt a casino,
Or it's outright fraud. Some type
that's
of,
or both.
yeah.
But either way, it's like, he clearly doesn't understand spending limits, which explains why we're in debt. And
And
Hex,
asking for
yeah,
1.5 billion, trillion, sorry. Asking for 1.5
point
trillion on
five
top of a
trillion
40
dollars,
trillion, yeah, 40
right?
trillion dollar debt.
Recently, and by the way, he said that it's actually like they needed that money like cash up front immediately, or else we weren't going to be able to pay troops. That's how sort of in debt they are just with all these operations and stuff
Yeah.
already. So yeah, it's the war is not looking good. And even here's the thing is we've heard a lot of stuff from Trump and Bessent this past week, which is like which I still I can't believe that the markets still buy this stuff. where it's like, oh,
Well, there's
peace
only
is
so many times you can cry wolf. I'm sorry,
right,
like,
but it seems to
but
still work
it's been
though.
work. It's been working for
It'll
like 6 months.
but you can do that again as much as you want until again, like come actually at the rate we're drawing now, looks like we'll be completely out of SPRN stocks by September.
Hmm.
So it's like but we'll get to this further, but this whole deal with Trump overspending and thinking that he has unlimited supplies of everything, and if he tweets something, it'll magically appear in reality or something where that's going to lead into what I see is actually a new um, bull market, not just in commodities, but there's going to have to be one in oil specifically
Hmm.
for many reasons. But this is real interesting right here is that the IRGC strikes hostile targets in Hormuz as Iran declares Oman deal. They're banning U.S. vessels and Israeli vessels from the strait, period.
Indefinitely.
And,
So even
and
if it
yeah,
gets opened up at some point, sorry, sucks to be you guys.
yeah, exactly. It's like well, not just that, it goes even further. And Iran actually, their parliament voted this into law too. So it's actually part of their law where the United States, Israel, and any sort of like allies who have anything to do with supporting aggression against
Hmm.
Iran, they are banned from Hormuz too. So that's basically NATO and Israel.
Sorry,
Sorry,
guys.
you can't use the Persian Gulf anymore. Just not going to happen. And that puts Europe in a really bad bind. I think they're going to be out of jet fuel within a month.
Hmm.
Just out, flat out. Commercial stocks, emergency. So I don't know. I do actually know where they're going to get it. They're going to get it from VLO, which we'll cover a little later.
Yep.
So.
So this is one of the favorites of the show here.
Mhm.
This is PBR, right?
No,
Uh,
not this one specifically. What happened is British Petroleum. Okay, so British Petroleum was able to contract with Brazil because they found, again, it's part of what the reason why this is significant is this is a deal that has to do with sort of like those that salt flat area where PBR recently has
okay.
their
Yep.
wells, right? So there's so much oil in that region where British Petroleum was like, hey guys, here's billions and billions and billions of dollars just to let us drill there.
Yep.
So, but with that said, even though it's specifically more about British Petroleum and the contract that they negotiated with the Brazilian government, I mean, who's the Brazilian government going to give that land
Yeah,
to?
that's kind of what I
Well,
was reading. The moment I saw
right,
Brazil and oil boom, I'm like,
right.
that can't not be good for PBR.
Right. So what that's exactly. And the point is that it's they're talking about oil boom running deep into the 2030s. Is there's enough oil in that one area off the coast of Brazil to last a huge bullish climb for companies like PBR specifically,
Sure.
right? um, to essentially just have, you know, not put it this way, they can just drill and drill and drill and pump and pump and pump. They have decades of supply just in
Hmm.
that one area. So that's super bullish for PBR in particular.
Yeah.
So
We have Saudi oil reroutes hit capacity and security limits. That doesn't sound good.
no, it's not. What's happened is since Hormuz is blocked. And it's Danny, honestly, it's this is where really the markets, don't get me wrong, I I I do expect them to be irrational, but when I see the little alerts coming across my thing, because what I'll do is I'll change my VPN and then I'll actually opt into the security alerts as if I was in the UAE.
Oh, there
You
you
see what I'm
go.
saying?
That's
So
clever.
Right. I do that on my tablet because I use my computer for the other stuff. So on my tablet, as I'm doing work, little security, and it's real crazy because like my computer out of nowhere will start to be like missile alert, you know?
Oh man.
Yeah. And but anyway, what's happened is, this I think it's the day Besant came out and he's like, hey, Monday or Tuesday, it's Hormuz is going to be completely open, and I'm going to shit rainbows or whatever, and the markets actually bought it. But then that same day, the Iranians hit two vessels, okay, and the Houthis hit three,
Yeah.
and it's like Besant says one thing and the markets respond, but they're not paying attention to the fact that they're actually lighting up.
Sure. So I do something similar. I have alerts set on, several different breaking news accounts on Twitter and elsewhere. And so I get these things breaking, and I keep seeing this over and over. It's like, oh, Trump says everything's good, deal's been made, and then maybe sometimes within hours, it's like, U.S. Assets struck with missiles off the coast of wherever, and it's kind of like, I don't know,
It's the
it
damnedest
doesn't.
thing, isn't it? Yeah, it
Yeah,
doesn't make
that's
any. And here's the thing: is it's like the Trump administration says stuff, but I don't get me wrong, like the Iranians say stuff too, but really they act more than they say, though. You know what I mean? They're
right.
like
And
Hormuz is
the
closed.
the issue
It's
is
closed.
if they say it's going to be closed, it'll actually be closed, not
Be
just like
closed. Right.
I don't test me this time for real. I'm going to come.
Right.
Don't make me come over there. I'm going to give you to the count of three.
It's,
Right.
it's it's not like they're Federal Reserve chairs or anything.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Or like a parent with a petulant child in a toy store. Like
We'll do it. We'll raise interest
yep.
rates.
Yep.
Don't test me. Yeah. So
All right.
basically, yeah, right now, Saudi Arabia, and think about what a big swing producer Saudi Arabia is, and what a big swing producer Russia is.
Mhm.
Both those countries right now, for all intents and purposes, are offline.
Yep.
They're not exporting. That's huge. That's absolutely huge. But the markets, I guess, at least the futures market specifically, right? Which we'll get into later, even though now it's dumb because the stock valuations haven't really when the futures price goes up, people pour into the equities of producers,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
However,
There's definitely a correlation for sure.
well, yeah, but however, even if the equities don't haven't taken or they have taken off, but haven't taken off the way they probably should be, or should have, uh, when we get to the Q2 earnings, that kind of doesn't matter
Hmm.
because the earnings that we're going to see are like absolutely incredible. Like yeah,
Yeah,
they're
so we have a couple, that we have earmarked here on account of the fact that they're favorites of the show, CVE being one of those. Probably, I think that this stock probably had some of the most airtime on our podcast, and for good reason.
for good reason.
So yeah, so this says match estimates. Um,
Well,
Petra, yeah.
it's slightly beat estimates, but only by like. But then again, the estimates were high. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
so estimates are, you know, you, there's a lot of fuckery that can be played there, right? Because it's like, okay, who's creating those estimates and how are they pricing that in, right?
Right.
So when you keep beating estimates, what do? They say, okay, well, we're going to raise it by our expectations by some epsilon amount and just keep doing that, right, until you kind of hit a ceiling. So I think what's really more, I mean, obviously meeting earnings, is a big deal, but it's also the fact that they've remained consistently cash flow positive.
Well, not just that, Danny, but what's interesting is if you actually look into what like major institutions say about the earnings, right? And what fair value is for the stock. This is real interesting. These equities are still at a price point, I think even today, which are way lower, okay, than what the institutions say is current fair value.
Right.
CVE as one example. So it's like they say that it matched estimates, but if you go by what the estimate of the fair value of the company should be, I think for CVE it's in the $60 per share, when
Sure.
right now it's still at like 28
Yeah,
something,
so we
you
could
know?
actually
So
pop on
yeah.
over to the chart and check it out. I know that you said, because now we're going to start getting into the stocks, so we could start taking a look at that. I know that you said you had some notes about, that you had on hand about the fair value. So I don't know
Yeah.
if you have that
Yeah.
on you for
Well, there's
CVE.
there's my fair value, and my fair values are based off of my fair values are based off of the new energy regime. That is an energy
Understood. Yeah.
regime where the EU, and understandably, I do understand that hasn't really been priced in yet. Okay. Now that will at some point. However, it's just not there yet. What I'm saying about fair value in this context is fair value in the old paradigm,
Sure. Yeah,
right?
even in the old paradigm,
Even
right.
in the old paradigm, they're still undervalued. That's
Hmm.
that's what I'm getting at. And these are the all the prestigious institutions. But yeah, if I'm looking at CVE, let's see where I have.
So CV's at a still pretty good price here at 28.11. We have this nice little rally. Ran into some problems at 30.11, but also don't forget that it's highly correlated with oil. So it's probably best before we really jump into the oil stocks to just check out what oil's doing. As you see, I have quite a bit of analysis here with the Elliott wave. There's a very good chance that we're reaching the end of this corrective phase. And this little blip right here, that could be the start of a new rally, the first wave of the five wave impulse. Or it could go lower, obviously, but we have this, we have some Fibonacci's here to guide us, and we'll have extreme support here at 73.95. And again, the reason why I'm bringing up oil is because, again, these oil stocks are correlated whether you like it or not. So yeah, you see this little rally is correlated with that most recent kind of movement that we have, and we're going to see these patterns repeated. So this is in USD. Again, I have these nice little red lines indicating where I bought. Didn't always
Mhm.
get the best price. I got a really good price down here. I would like to say that this is a bottom for now, 27.56. We just have to watch the vacuum zone at 25.01. That's going to be an absolute min, in my opinion, just based on we have this strong support point here. And it's only going to be a matter of time before fundamentals kick in. So, what's your call on the fair value?
Yeah,
Or
yeah. So what I have calculated for CVE is uh 32 to 38 easily.
so, is that your calculation, or is that market like institutions?
That's my specific calculation.
Okay,
Um,
so I'm gonna.
but hold on.
Yep.
That that's in Canadian.
Oh, no worries. I have.
Yeah, just translate that.
Yep, you can do that.
Sorry,
It's actually.
I was doing this for an uncle of mine
Yeah,
specifically.
no worries.
He lives in
Are
Canada.
you sure? Because in Canadian dollars, it's about 40 right now.
No, wait. Do I have the wrong?
Are you thinking like CRGY or maybe
Oh
a
no, no,
different
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's
US would make more sense,
I'm sorry.
right?
No, it's 80 to 90 in the new energy regime. Yeah, sorry. It,
In Canadian?
no, US. Yeah, US.
Okay, because that's not that's not even going to be on the chart.
Right.
Yeah, look at how far we have to zoom before that
Hmm.
that
No,
even.
that's it's gonna take a long time to get there.
Oh
Probably,
yeah.
I would bet about, but in about a year, that's where I have my target at. If it gets
But
over that, I'm selling.
what's interesting is you have this is actually a Fibonacci extension. It's far out. I've never actually used the 4.236. I didn't frankly even realize that was a number, but of the Fibonacci extensions, but it is at right about 80, so that
Is it that makes sense then? Yeah.
correlates somewhat with the technicals too.
That's what I would have it at then, right around 80.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the next one is Petrobras. That's another all-time personal favorite of mine. I've been following them for even well before this podcast. As you see, tons of places where I've added to the position. Same kind of deal here with a Fibonacci level here at 18. I just still can't believe that like we can get shares of this company for less than 20 bucks. That 20 bucks is
Yeah.
like 20 bucks is like the price of a burrito now.
Here's the
So,
thing with this one though. Like the Canadian majors are one thing, but the again with the Brazilian government with Petrobras, that honestly, if like the real, if you go off the earnings, the fair value from current prices is double. So it's
mhm.
like, you see what I'm saying? So it's like that's a steep discount with respect to like that what do they call it? They call it the geopolitical risk or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
So
probably one of the reasons why institutions haven't hopped on this. It's just like, oh, it's Brazil, therefore, they just have that mode of thinking. But also take
right,
a look at the dividends. We are seeing it is, a 5% dividends, right? So
right.
they as we mentioned before in the show, they do believe in kind of spreading the wealth, so to speak. So even if it stays, I mean, frankly, even if it stays in this region right here, establishes value, which is a perfectly reasonable thing for a stock to do, just to try to feel out this whole territory right here. I'm still happy, right? Because again, you're making dividends off of it, and you're set up for eventually, when it kind of rises to the occasion. And my Fibonacci's here. I don't know what your fair value calculations are. 25, 17, 28, 88. Those are realistic targets, I think, in the next year.
Right.
Um,
The For this one it says 42 to 60.
well, so 60 is very close to the 4236 Fibonacci extension, which we recall from CVE was in line with your calculations. So far the technicals and the fundamentals are aligning.
They're lining
Yeah,
up.
yeah, that's pretty good. That's a good sign, by the way.
Okay.
That what
No,
you
this is yeah,
use one to check the other.
this is okay, so let's think about this. What in this regime, okay, there's basically there's a split, right? Where the WTI and Brent they bifurcate.
Yeah.
Okay. But what that means is in the international market, if you will, because if again, we talked about this a little earlier today in relation to gold. Um, Really, Hormuz is going, most of the energy from that region is going to go to the Asian countries now: India, South Korea, Japan, China.
Yep.
Okay. Now, here is what is kind of interesting about the Canadians because they have the TMX pipeline and Brazil in particular because they're part of BRICS. Okay. In Canada, if you remember, ever since the Trump administration, they've been cozying up to China more.
Sure.
Okay. So what we're seeing now is maybe something very interesting with these two companies in that uh, they'll give deals to the Chinese, but that's just going to bid up the price for their
Well,
oil
and don't
overall.
forget who was doing most of the work in Venezuela before that operation happened. It was China too.
China.
So China
Yeah.
has a huge interest in South America in general.
Exactly, but what the reason why I'm saying that is that the what that
Spoiler
bifurcation
alert.
happens, yeah, when that bifurcation happens, Danny, that means we are looking at a regime where, especially when you're talking about the petrodollar basically dying, okay, the real cost of oil, okay, just due to cost of expense for domestic crude, we're looking at easily 80 to $110 a barrel.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So
Oh,
before I forget, I wanted to go into you mentioned the petrodollar dying. It's not evident from this chart here. Obviously, we just talked about that. It may, however, be evident from this chart, which is gold.
gold.
Gold has been hanging out. If we go a little bit, yeah. So basically, we kind of reached this low here. This pattern look familiar, Zach?
Hmm.
The Elliott wave, right? So we
Sure
have
does.
this nice correction here, and guess what? This does appear to be a very strong start to the next impulse wave. If we kind of just here alone, it's been hanging out for like a month, just establishing value, establishing value. And as we discussed before, when you have an asset that's kind of like squishing, that we call that a consolidation of volatility,
Hmm.
it's kind of like pushing a spring, right? When you push a spring, what
Yep.
does it want to do? It wants to fight you and it wants to break out. So that's pretty much what we're seeing here. I'm not convinced yet that this is the death of the petrodollar. It's definitely a start.
No,
Um,
no, well, the petro, hold on. The petrodollar and the reserve currency are two different things though,
yeah.
right? I'm not talking about, yeah, you are
It
right.
will be a symptom of it though to see gold skyrocket.
Right. The petrodollar's dead. The reserve currency status is not dead. Let
Yeah,
me
but
clarify that. Yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
that is a good point.
Reserve
But
currency status is going to take more time.
yeah, but this is the Dixie US dollar index. What that is, typically when you trade currencies, you typically trade like there's like six of them: Euro USD, the Japanese USD against the Japanese yen, CAD, New Zealand dollar. I mentioned Euro, Swiss franc, Australian dollar. There might be one I'm missing, but you get the idea, right? I think I got them all. And so instead of looking at an individual pair, if you want to understand what's going on with the US dollar as a whole, what you do is you average all those together. And I'm oversimplifying it, but you get the idea, right? You want to average all of those, and that's what we call the Dixie or the US dollar index. There's other ways of doing it too. There's a US trade weighted dollar average and all kinds of things. But the point is that when you see unilateral kind of movement here, it means the US dollar is getting thumped against all of those, right? So and there's part of the reason for that. You'll see the U.S. dollar is very sensitive. I mean, as all assets are, but to Fed speak, right? So when we failed to see the rate hike, and we got that jawboning from the new Fed chair.
Yep.
We saw this sell off here.
Mhm.
This is a little bit more recent. This is a response to U.S. jobs numbers, which were a miss. Surprise. And so, yeah, I think that we're starting to build the case for a declining petrodollar, just with those graphs. The only thing that hasn't really caught up is oil. I'm still kind of surprised that
Again, Danny, this is the thing. And like I when I when I think about this, and like when I'll like the stocks are doing well, they're not doing as well as they should, but since we focus on the valuation, the long-term valuation and the dividend,
yeah.
stocks, you really take that in perspective, and it sort of, you think about it in context too, and it's like, well, it's really not that big of a deal, at least, right now in the short term. But Trump, because Trump, they should be doing gangbusters, of course, but they're not.
Mhm.
Okay. And again, I'm sure there's algo trading and stuff that goes on where automatically when the futures price of oil drops, right?
Mhm.
Then that auto trading to buy the equities doesn't happen. Okay.
Right.
So that makes perfect sense to me. Here's the thing though, when you actually look at their revenues and what they've posted in quarter profits, and you look at the crack spreads, okay, I'm even more and more convinced after looking at these Q2 earnings
Mhm.
that this futures price, now it's unfortunate that the Trump administration has done this, but it doesn't mean anything anymore.
Yeah.
Like it's like it doesn't, because when you actually look at what the spot value of oil is, it's still around $100.
Yeah.
So you see what I'm saying? So it's like the physical barrels themselves are at 100, okay, and yeah, the futures price is, God knows, I'm under the, I have a hypothesis that I think Besant spoke with Japan and said, "Hey, Japan, you have a Fed swap line. Why don't we just give you the cash,
Hmm.
okay? And you can short the oil market, so then it benefits both of us because then hopefully you can buy cheaper barrels,
Hmm.
right? And we have your back when the yen collapses."
Yeah. Very
And
interesting
that's what
position.
if not right? Isn't that
Yeah.
a, I think that's a fair hypothesis, because like they haven't said that they've done that, but when you look at the markets and what's actually happened, like that does seem to be what's at play. Now,
Hmm.
here's the thing though, because the futures price isn't affecting the physical barrels, as like, it makes sense though. You can't print molecules, right?
Hmm.
So even though they can manipulate the futures price, they can't manipulate the barrels themselves.
Correct.
So what are we witnessing? Record crack spreads, and we're witnessing, even though the stock valuations aren't through the roof, the earnings are enormous for all of these producers, right?
Speaking
So
of earnings, I just, we can't help ourselves here. Um, so with our favorite little Down syndrome stepchild, SpaceX, right? So we have, so I do know that I think the first lockup period has expired. So we're the first. I heard that
I
from
think August 15th, there's another one, isn't there?
I don't know the actual. I'll look into that, but
Yeah,
we have that coming. If it hasn't expired already, it's imminent. But
right.
also the just the options market alone. This is quite 26. That's a big number. 26
That's a
billion.
big number, am I right?
Yeah,
It's a
yeah. So
huge
if we
number.
hop on over to the chart, we actually did see a little rally. A lot of times, sometimes you'll have like a gamma risk, right? It'll be just so lopsided that you could, if stops are
The
hit or whatever,
squeeze, yeah.
yeah, you see this little. I don't think that this is anything. I mean, if you just look at this in proportion to everything else, it's very clearly not anything substantive. But we just again, just can't help myself when it comes to SpaceX. And we have a special treat on that note.
Well, I saw that Kramer recently. Oh man, maybe either he was right or maybe that's the reason we're seeing that little bump. I just saw a clip of Kramer saying like this is like a buying opportunity for SpaceX,
Interesting. I had a
something
friend
like
say
that.
the same friend that told me about the lockup period. Let's call him Crazy A. He
Mhm.
Zach knows who I'm talking about. He said the same thing. So I don't know if he watches Kramer or if I mean if you're a normie and you don't know this stuff and you just see a stock that's just you're told is just going to go to the moon and then it hits a certain low. I believe that there's some cycle that you just convince yourself like this just has to be it. Why? This just has to be it, Uh Brondo, it's what plants love.
Yeah,
Why do
yeah.
they love it? Brondo, it's what plants love.
It's electrolytes. Yeah,
Yeah, it has
it's
electrolytes. That was
electrolytes.
the circular.
But the thing that still it perhaps at my age it shouldn't astound me, but man, it still does astound me where like I I'm astounded that people like Kramer and Kathy Wood and Musk, all of these characters, they still have jobs. Like how does anybody
Yeah,
take them
it's
seriously?
infuriating. Yep.
I just don't get it. I don't, like it boggles my mind, man. And I figured out something though with respect to like Kramer and Musk at least, but maybe you throw Kathy Wood in here, Woods in here too. Is it's like, and this even goes to like Andrew Tate and those sort of scam artists too, is like they're really good at selling
Yeah.
the idea of wealth. I'm wealthy, you know what I mean?
Well,
So
and they have cult leader
selling,
personas too.
of course they do. Of course they do. It's all a scam. It's all a game that they play, but it's very sad is actually when you look into it, during the Gilded Age in the United States, gambling increased massively, and um, that's when I think Carnegie wrote that book on like uh, making friends and influencing people. And
Mm.
that's when, honestly, during the Gilded Age too, when things were at their worst, that's when the self-help movement started its genesis. When there's a whole bunch of really poor, desperate people that just need to feed their kids or whatever, they
Yep.
get sold this idea of extreme wealth. And just like Tate does with his cars and his even if it's rented or photoshopped or whatever, they're selling the idea. Do what I do, and you can have all this stuff.
Yeah, so it's like
Yeah.
when you're I was reading a post by like a father about his son who, is honest work, making like 20 bucks an hour or whatever, and did the breakdown. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was like, he's his rent is this, and after car payments or whatever, he has like $20 a month to his name. And
Hmm.
so the only way to get by, or at least the only hope rather, is either profit gambling, going into one of these charlatans, right? Doing something flat out illegal. That's really the only hope people have. And frankly, if I was in that age group where I was coming into the workforce, I'm not sure I would see a point in doing so. Just fuck it, go on benefits.
I mean, it depends on an individual's actually, an individual case and values and everything, of course.
Sure, I'm not saying I would
Yeah,
do
yeah,
it
yeah.
myself, but
Right,
I'm just
right,
saying
right.
I see an argument for that. Like, why?
Of course, right. You have empathy for it.
Sure.
You see the motivations, but there's a neuroeconomics researcher who actually has a term for it. He calls it economic nihilism. And
Yeah.
it's it, and he's noticed it in the United States and South Korea in particular.
Yeah, South Korea is another one. All
Yep.
right, so we have a special treat. Why don't you walk us through this
Okay.
this little
So here
series
we
here?
have, yes, those are muskrats. The term that I don't know if I gave them the term or they gave me the term or whatever. Shout out to another channel called Common Sense Skeptic.
Mm.
They use the term must. They've done a whole bunch of really good sort of independent journalism type videos on Elon Musk and all of the serial scams that he's pulled off and all the lies that he's told for
Hmm.
decades now.
You definitely
And
have the build.
yeah, right. Yeah. And I don't know. The reason why I made him particularly fat, first of all, that fuck Earth thing is he's actually been quoted like in on video saying that several times. Like, why don't you use your wealth to help people here on planet Earth? Why don't you help the environment on planet Earth instead of, going to Mars, all this other stuff? And his response to that oftentimes is fuck Earth. So best of luck to him
Yep.
with that mentality. But I've noticed Elon Musk too, with time, his torso just seems to get
Yeah, it's like inflating.
fatter. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
fatter and fat, and his shirts get tighter and
He
tighter and
has that
tighter.
barrel build, you know?
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know if ketamine does that to a man or what, but as you can tell, his rocket ships are, and this again brings back to that whole thing about Thunderfoot got those tiles and compared them to the NASA tiles. And the NASA tiles, it's like perfectly like the ceramic coating on the outside is like perfectly well made and handcrafted and everything. And the SpaceX tiles, which by the way
They're
are
like
like
spray painted.
no, they are. They're literally spray painted only on the surface too.
Hmm.
If you know anything about the tiles, is first of all, if you're launching stuff in Florida, this matters a lot too.
Yeah.
They're silicon tiles, right? And I think they're hydroscopic, but they absorb water. So that yeah, they're extreme water or hydrophilo. what would you call that, Danny?
Hydrophilic?
Hydrophilic. I'm sorry. Oh,
Yeah.
I should have known that. Hydrophilic.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, been a while since biochem. But anyway, um, that they didn't even bother putting the tiles on these little cartoons
Yeah, not
here.
only that, you see it's duct taped.
All right, it's all duct taped and glued on. And this one, the first one, didn't even get off the launch pad, and they're made to look like penises because let's face it, Musk is compensating for something,
Yep.
clearly. And this one gets up a little bit, but the money is still, you know, floating around in those dumbass rockets because that's basically what you're doing with them anyway.
Yep.
And we got the next one. This one actually gets up a bit, a little higher.
It's kind of
And then-
I like the vibration squiggles here.
right, yeah,
Stuff's falling off.
Right, that's what keeps on happening is as they actually get more as they get closer to actually launching, they get increasingly more and more unstable and out of
Right.
control. Right.
Yeah.
So, which is great with a lot of crowded people, you know.
Yeah.
Then this
And
one actually starts to spin. And he says it's as I heart ketamine on there on his hat.
yeah,
Right?
yeah, no, I noticed that. Because he's actually I want to say he's on record about doing it.
Yeah,
Um,
he is. He is.
and
Finally, they just explode and fall on girls' schools and burn up all the cash because that's
because
really
that's
that's what SpaceX is. It's a giant cash furnace.
exactly. So
So,
we'll end with I know I sent this to you. This was a breaking news. So I could just see somebody, going to, some marketing guy or whatever at SpaceX and be like, shareholders are really pissed. A lot of people lost a lot of money. And the guy going like, hold my beer. So the announcement is it's been revealed that SpaceX plans to deploy humanoid robots on the moon to build factories. Robots!
so it's so in a way, this is like Elon's circular financing in a way, right? Tesla
He
makes the
loves doing that.
robots.
Yeah.
That's
So
at
Tesla
least,
makes the robots.
yeah.
He's going to have SpaceX send him to the moon or Mars or wherever. I'm sure he'll find a way for one of his other companies to pitch in as well.
Well, that's at least an excuse then for space him to take SpaceX and then buy Tesla, because Tesla is not exactly the most profitable company either.
Nope.
You know what I mean? So, but here's the thing with that is it's like, look, did you see the MMA thing that China had where they have the robots fighting one another?
Hmm.
Yeah,
That was
like that's
hilarious.
actually kind of hilarious, but also kind of impressive, right? Like you're never going to see or I don't want to say never, but like, look, Optimus robots, like they had to hire guys in suits, you
Yeah.
know, to like do the demonstration. Like
Hmm.
it's literally that bad. And I mean, he's let's just face it, like as far as like actually coming out with real products that are good, solidly made, you know what I mean? Like profit making products, he's not that good at. I don't care
No.
who you are, it just does not have that documented history. And, you know, that may be the excuse for him to buy Tesla. But let's face it, none of this stuff is really going to work, which is why I feel bad for NASA scientists. Because I found out a friend of mine that works in NASA, they've basically hitched their entire they've been forced to, right?
Yeah.
They don't want to, but they've been
Oh.
forced to hitch their entire wagon to this Artemis project.
Hmm.
He still has not delivered a feasible prototype for.
Yeah, and I blame that as I do many other things on Obama. Not exactly a friend of the show. Um, I have firsthand experience with this because I designed the vibration control system for the Ares project, which was supposed to be the shuttle successor. Of course, thanks to Obama, the whole thing was nixed,
Is
and
he the one that privatized
yeah,
NASA
yeah,
basically?
basically, yeah,
Man, what which is such, but again, it makes sense with politicians because he was sort of like the pro science, supposed to be anyway, like the pro science
I,
president, administration, and all
yeah,
that.
and Trump was supposed to be the pro-America one, and look at how that worked
And
out. So yeah,
can't even make
so
a wall.
think
Yep,
about
can't
this
build a
the next
wall.
time you consider to vote for either party. So I think
Right,
that's a
we sponsor third parties here on
yeah,
this program.
absolutely, absolutely,
Mhm.
and both of us are card-carrying members of third parties. So,
Yep.
yep. All right, it's a good note to end it. Take care, everybody. See you on the next show. Goodbye.